Today for planning and prep, we are going to make one of my most favorite foods. I love sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes in and of themselves are gorgeous. Their color inspires me. When I see them at the grocery store, I just think, wow, what can I do with this? And there's so much you can do. You can make French fries for your kids in the toaster oven in under 20 minutes. You can roast this in the oven without oil. I'll show you how to do that in a later episode. We can create today, what we're going to do is pasta. Pasta is one of my most favorite foods. And I'll tell you, when I start eating pasta, I simply can't stop. So I'm trying to find solutions, one of which I'm going to share with you today, on how to make a pasta that is the healthiest pasta on the planet. Now, you can eat a sweet potato raw. Many of you might not have known that, but you can. You can eat this sweet potato raw, and I highly recommend it. Today, though, we are going to cook it slightly. So I want to show you first how to spiralize. So oftentimes people will shy away from sweet potato, spiralizing sweet potato, because sometimes it doesn't work that well. But let's give it a try. Let's see how it's working today. So basically, you just place it on the spiralizer, right here, just so. And this is actually called a turning slicer. It's not actually called a spiralizer. That's actually a brand name. And they're very inexpensive. If you have the space in your kitchen, I highly recommend having one. If you want, you can also just take a peeler and make like more tagliatelle looking slices. And you see, we're getting really beautiful pasta. I love sweet potatoes for a number of reasons. Most importantly, like I said, their color. This color signifies to you that there are phytonutrients in this food. To me, the biggest thing that I've learned over the last 20 plus years is that phytonutrients are the key to health. And this sweet potato is packed full of fiber, but more importantly, it's packed full of phytonutrients. Got to kind of push hard. So I'm focusing. You really have to push these two pieces together to get it to spiralize at that thickest spot. And then what you're left with, you can also steam or you can just snack on. And here you've got this gorgeous pasta. Look at it. So beautiful. And you can even make these, you can spray them with a little bit of coconut oil and you can bake them. And they're like curly fries. So there's so many healthy, fun things you can do with spiralized sweet potato. You can even keep them raw and then put like a lovely sauce on them and serve them as a as a side dish, or you can bring it to a party. A lesser known fact about sweet potatoes is that they contain phytoestrogens. This is not the same kind of estrogen that we hear to like clear away from. This is the kind of estrogen that you want to include in your life, especially if you're an aging woman and your estrogen is starting to get lower. We can't really avoid aging. This is a great food to include if you want your symptoms of pre, post, menopause, any kind of menopausal phase that you're in. It can really help to make any symptoms you may be experiencing lessen. It's also a food that's been eaten for centuries, so it has the kind of sugar in it and the kind of fiber in it that helps to make the blood sugar not raise quickly. So it's a very, very good food to eat if you're trying to lose weight, in moderation, of course. It's a very good food to eat if you're an athlete. It's an excellent food for children. And this is a great food just when you're on the go. It brings phytonutrients to your skin, like the carotenes, beta carotene, and it has a tremendous amount of vitamins that are going to make you glow. This food not only does all of those things, but it also makes you feel satisfied. Oftentimes when we're eating a plant-based diet or we're transitioning from a meat-based diet or heavier foods, where you're eating a lot of carbohydrates or a lot of fat, we kind of miss that feeling of grounded satisfaction. Because it's a root vegetable, it makes you feel grounded. Because it has the kind of starch in it that I was referring to, it makes you feel satisfied. It makes you feel full. And it makes you feel full without all those negative side effects of bad carbohydrates and heavy fats. In and of itself, it is a perfect food. And so I'd like to make it today because I'm just in the mood. They inspired me and I said, let's take this food to go. So let's come on over to the oven and see what magic we can create. All right, so I've turned the heat on and I'm gonna add some water to the pan. I'm not gonna add oil, I'm gonna add water because I wanna do a technique called steam frying. This is really important. So I'm a big fan of herbs and spices. They provide so many health benefits. I don't even know where to start. But they also provide ways in which the body can better assimilate the food, which is extraordinary. The way nature organized itself is just blows my mind on an ongoing basis. So I'm basically going to put the spiralized sweet potato into our pan and let this kind of start to do its thing. There isn't much water in there. I've got about 1/4 cup of water in here and 1 spiralized sweet potato. I've left the skin on because it's organic. Sometimes when I'm out and about, I'm in the mood for something sweet. Instead of reaching for a brownie or a cookie or some ice cream, if I've got some sweet potatoes with me, it totally satisfies that craving. Now I've chosen a few spices today that I recently just love with sweet potato in this combination. So it's a new recipe that I've just been working on. So one thing that I just absolutely love these days is cardamom. I don't know if you know about cardamom. I'm very interested in the Vedic sciences and I love cardamom. It's just magical. It just smells so good and it might be rare. And if you don't have it, whatever, don't use it in this recipe. I just wanted to bring it into your world, into your sphere. This is ground cardamom. You can find it in pods and you can also find the little seeds. But for this recipe, we're using ground. And now I've got a little bit of a boil going, kind of a low simmer. And I'm using the cardamom because I want this cardamom to interact with the heat. So that's really important. And I have the liquid is just barely there in my pan. But it's still steaming and I can smell that sweet potato. Here we have a dynamic duo of 2 spices that I absolutely love. Ginger and coriander. Coriander is a seed that you find usually. This is ground coriander. It's commonly found in Indian food, but also in Mexican food and Persian food and all kinds of other, even Chinese food. I mean, you find it in a lot of cultures throughout time. And ginger. Oh my gosh, if I could go and write a book on ginger, I think I should actually, because the benefits of juicing ginger, grinding ginger, eating ginger, just blow my mind. So if you don't have ground ginger in your cupboard, buy some. Order some if you can't find it. It is of value. You can make it into a tea. You can make it into a tincture. I mean, there's so much you can do with ginger. So we buy it fresh, we juice it. It's a huge part of our lives. So I'm gonna add the coriander, the ground coriander and ground ginger. And I'll tell you, the other day I had this cooking and there were children in the house and they said, "What are you making? It smells so good." And so that you can expect right about now. These aromas are starting to infuse the air. And here we have nutmeg. Nutmeg is also quite a magical spice. And I'm gonna just grind it fresh. Now you don't have to do this. I like to grind mine fresh. And I'm just grinding a little bit into this pan. And nutmeg loves a little bit of heat in order for the flavor to emerge. And I'm not needing any more water. And guess what? These sweet potatoes are done. If you, want to add a little bit of minerals, you don't even need them. But here, just for flavor, for the mainstream palate, definitely a little bit of Himalayan sea salt. Definitely sea salt. Please do not use table salt. If you're using table salt, you want to try to consider purchasing a different kind of salt or eliminating salt. If you're using table salt, eliminate salt or consider buying another kind of salt. The only reason we need to eat salt is for minerals. If there aren't minerals in your salt, you need to stop eating it or buy a different one. We will get into that topic at a later time for sure. So we're done. These are done. They're fabulous. So we're going to go ahead and place these in our to-go container. And then we've got this to-go container, bottom insulated portion, filled with sweet potato. And then here we also have a little bit of coconut butter that I'm going to add on top, just to give it even more depth of a kind of dessert feel. And